Hi, my name is Ashley, and today I'm going to talk about the biochemistry of exercise at different altitudes. Over the last couple years, I started lifting weights. Now, I go to school at the University of Colorado in Boulder. The elevation here is a little over 5,000 feet. Recently, I went back home to visit my family. They live at sea level. So I went to the gym with my brother. All of a sudden, I was lifting weights that were 20 or 40 pounds higher than I usually could. And I'm like, wow, where did that come from? So I came back to Colorado and I was ready to go back to the gym. I was excited to go back, but when I did, I couldn't lift those same weights anymore. I always knew that altitude impacted exercise, but how does that work? At higher elevation, there's more oxygen per volume of air. Over time, our bodies can adjust for that difference by creating more red blood cells, which contain hemoglobin, a protein that binds oxygen in our lungs and carries it through our blood to our tissues, including muscles. But I wasn't at low altitude long enough for that to happen. Turns out, our cells use two major reaction pathways to turn one molecule of glucose, a sugar, into energy forms a cell can use, like ATP. Glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm of the cell and turns one molecule of glucose with 6 carbon atoms into 2 molecules of a smaller molecule with 3 carbon atoms each. For every molecule of glucose that you break down, you spend 2 ATP and you get 4 back, so you have a net gain of 2. The second pathway is the citric acid cycle in the mitochondria, which is coupled to the electron transport chain. A 2-carbon molecule is attached onto a 4-carbon molecule, then 2 of those carbons are released as carbon dioxide, which is sent back to your lungs for you to breathe back out. And some of the electrons are captured to send to the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain uses the energy from the electrons from the citric acid cycle to pump hydrogen ions into the space between the 2 membranes of the mitochondria. These ions don't like being packed so closely together, and as they cross the membrane and move from higher concentration to lower concentration, they turn the ATP synthase pump, which makes more ATP. 1 molecule of glucose passing through the citric acid cycle and electron transport chain makes over 30 ATP compared to the 2 made by glycolysis. So where does oxygen come into this? Well, glycolysis can happen without it, but the citric acid cycle and the electron transport chain can't. So when your muscle cells use up oxygen faster than hemoglobin can deliver it, you run out. Now you're making a lot less ATP, which means a lot less energy to fuel your muscles. When I visited a lower altitude, there was more oxygen available, so I was able to fuel the citric acid cycle for longer. When I came back to Colorado, there wasn't that extra oxygen anymore, so my muscles ran out of ATP faster. So since there was no extra oxygen, I couldn't lift those extra weights.